It's only been a month since I bought my Bally Strange Science, my Bally Flip Flop, and my Gottlieb Jungle Queen pinball machines. Yet, I decided to go out and buy 3 more pinball machines again. You guys think I've gone insane yet? So why did I buy 3 more pinball machines again? Well, they were at a really good price and they were low enough to justify buying 3 more pinball machines again. So what do we have this time? We have a 1993 Gottlieb Tee'd Off. We have a 1991 Gottlieb Cactus Jacks, which is a very rare machine, and they only made 1,900 of them, and a Williams Big Guns, which is kind of an iconic machine from 1987. But as you can see, each of these machines is powered on, and I play tested each one of them, and they are basically all 100% working. So these machines aren't going to be these huge grand scale restorations like I've done on my previous machines. But I still do want to make videos about these machines because I think they're pretty interesting, and I'm sure you guys would like to see more content based on these 3 machines. So let's go ahead and take a look at each of these machines, see what needs to be done, what's already been done. We'll validate the condition and see what I bought and added to the collection this time. So let's go from left to right. So here is our Gottlieb Tee'd Off. You can see the back glass is in very nice condition. A little bit of paint flaking by the edges, but it's super minor. This machine has a animated gopher topper on the top of the machine that will move around when you're playing the game. Because this machine is from 1993, it has a dot matrix display that I can tell has been on for long periods of time, because it has some burn-in down here by where it says game over and free play. You can kind of see, let's wait for it to shift past game over. You can kind of see, let's see, there's some burn-in down here where it says game over, so it's been sitting with the word game over on the display for a long time. And then here you can see the burn-in after it goes past free play. It says credits 0. So this machine has been sitting on credit play turned on for a very long time. The display is still good, so I'm not going to replace it, but just something worth noting. Here's the play field. You can see it's been upgraded to LEDs. This playfield I give about a 6 out of 10 because while it is in very good shape around most of the playfield, there is some pretty heavy wear in some spots, like right here when you shoot the ball up the middle and into the little captive hole. There is some wear inside there. I can't really get a good angle with the glass on, but you can kind of see that. There's also some wear up by the 3rd flipper. You can see right there. There's some wood loss. And we have some pretty serious wear up here by this captive hole. Now, I do have some stickers that came with the machine that I'll be able to use to rectify this wear, so that will be done eventually. And there's also some wear by where the ball shoots. When you first shoot it, it'll go up and back here, so you can kind of see the paint down below. There's a little wear path from where the ball has traveled a bunch of times. So this playfield is definitely not perfect, but for the most part, it is okay. You can see most of it is completely fine. And that's because it's covered with Mylar for the most part, so a lot of the playfield is protected. The front of this machine looks all right. It must have been in an arcade at some point because it has a little mechanism here that obviously had a metal bar going through it to keep people out of the coin door, so that is the animated gopher moving around. It does that during attract mode. I've turned the attract mode sounds off on this machine because it does it quite a bit. You'll probably hear that gopher moving around during this video, but that is the only sound that it is going to make. So the previous owner upgraded this machine to LEDs, but for whatever reason, the start button light was still an incandescent bulb, so I put a frosted LED in there. Looks like we also have a burned out light in the coin door. And speaking of the coin door, I don't know if this is a modification or something that you can install from Gottlieb parts, but if you open the door, it completely shuts down the machine. It's not like a soft shutdown either, the whole machine is just off. It won't do anything. So obviously they have the AC line going through this second switch here, because if I press it, the machine comes back on. And I don't know if we have a problem with the soundboard on this thing, if a capacitor's gone bad or what, because the speakers will be very loud when you turn the game off and on. The sound on the system works, so there's not really a big problem, but maybe one of the capacitors has gone bad and I need to replace it. I'm not sure, but I am going to have to do something to bypass this switch, because the only way that I can make game adjustments is to hold this switch in. So that's obviously not ideal, because if I let go, the machine just shuts down. So that is going to have to be addressed. So here's the inside of the coin door. You can see we have both of the coin mechanisms. I didn't have to drill out any locks on any of these machines. They all came with their keys, so that is a very good thing. You can see right here, this is the key to open the lock on the back box, which is right there. So I was able to get into the back box and bolt it down. And here is the condition of the cabinet. You can see it's in mostly good condition, but there is some wear. This side of the back box is actually pretty good. So it's nice to see most of the artwork is still there, and it hasn't really flaked on that side yet. The back isn't too bad either, so obviously this machine hasn't been transported on its back throughout most of its life. So that is nice to see. And the other side, similar amount of wear, but it's in reasonably good condition. So now let's take a look at the Cactus Jacks. You can see the backlash in this machine is in very nice shape. So the backlash is in good condition. The cabinet is a little bit worse for wear. You can see up on the top here by the speakers, it's got some paint loss, so maybe I'll try to color match the paint and repaint that. The T-molding around the edges of the back box in this game does need to be replaced. You can see on the right side here that it is starting to come off of the cabinet, and I can tell just by looking at it that it is pretty worn down, so that will need to be replaced. But other than that, the front end of the cabinet is in okay condition. There is a little bit of paint loss going on down here as well, but it's not horrible. It can always be repainted. Here's the playfield. The playfield is in much better condition. So you can see the playfield on this one is pretty nice. This machine still has all of its incandescent bulbs. It has not been upgraded to LEDs, so at some point I will upgrade this machine to probably warm white LEDs, but I haven't decided on that yet. And as far as I can tell, there isn't really any serious wear on this playfield. It's in really nice shape. The drop target stickers, that's a great time for the lights to turn off. The drop target stickers need to be replaced because, as you can see, 2 of them have fallen off. So I will need to replace those stickers. But other than that, I don't see any serious wear on this playfield. Which is amazing, because I'm going to show you what the cabinet looks like, and you're going to wonder how this playfield is in such nice shape. So here's the front. It's in pretty good shape. It's not super bad. This one doesn't have that weird switch in the coin door. If I go ahead and open it here, you can see the machine actually stays on. It doesn't have that second switch. It actually doesn't even have the first one. So I don't know if that's like a Gottlieb part that you could order so that it would shut down the machine when you open the door or what, but this one doesn't have it, so I don't have to fix anything there. Coin door looks to be in order as well. Both of the coin mechanisms are here. We have some spare wires, I presume, for a third chute. I don't even know if you can add that to one of these coin doors. You can't add it to this specific door, but maybe there is a configuration that you could have 3 chutes. And I'll show the insides of these machines when we open up the playfield, so that's why I'm not focusing on that right this second. So here's the right side of the cabinet. You can see it definitely has some wear, but it's not horrible. The back box is pretty worn though. You can see the paint is starting to flake, and there's some wood chips in the side. So definitely not the best. The left side's a little bit more worn. You can see there's some tape residue here that I'm gonna have to try to get off. You got some pretty bad paint flaking down there, and this side of the back box is a lot more worn. The back side does have some pretty serious wear. You can see there's a lot of paint loss here, and I don't know what's happened with the back side of the back box. You can see a lot of wood has come off and the paint is starting to flake. I don't know what's happened up here, because if you look at it sideways, you can see in here, let's see if I can get a good angle, the wood that is part of the back box has split in half, and I don't know if that's factory, because if you look at it sideways, you can see we kind of have a little bend right here, but the wood on the top of the back box, it goes out that far. So I don't know if it was like this, or maybe at some point it was farther in. I'm not sure. So the back box in this one is not in very great condition in terms of the back and the sides. So this is definitely not a showpiece. The back box is not in that great of condition, but it is a working machine, so it definitely deserves to have some TLC. And here is our Williams Big Guns. This machine, I think, is in the nicest condition out of the three. And this machine's kind of iconic because it has a back box that is 4 inches larger than a typical Williams back box of the time. And I read on the Internet Pinball database that the reason for that was so that the artist had enough room to draw the castle on the back glass. So this machine definitely stands out because of the size of its back box. So here's the back glass. You can see that it is in very nice condition. I didn't see any paint flaking on this glass. And this machine kind of has a cool feature. It has a little area back here where a plastic ball will shoot up and go down 5 different lanes back here. So you'll see that ball shooting while you're playing this game. So it's kind of got a little back box feature. This machine has been upgraded to LED displays in the past, so obviously the originals either failed or someone just didn't know how to fix them, so they just put LED displays in. So that has been done. And here is what the playfield looks like. The playfield in this machine is very nice. The only things that I saw with it are some of the text has worn off a little bit, so it's kind of hard to tell what they say because you can see that one's basically unreadable, but I know what it says because the one on this side is still there. It's supposed to say load gun when lit. So there's a little bit of that occurring throughout the playfield. Up here, there's another one that's worn down, but that's only on a few of those light lenses, so it's not too big of a deal. This game, I think, has a problem because you can probably tell the playfield and the back box, they're quite dim. And at first I thought, well, we're obviously just running old bulbs. They need to be replaced because they've probably been in here a while. But I took one of the bulbs out of the back box and replaced it with an LED temporarily just to see how it would look. And it was still dim. So obviously we have a voltage problem that is preventing these bulbs from reaching their full brightness. So that is something we're going to have to look at. But obviously we don't have too many voltage problems because the displays are nice and bright, the sound is working, and when the flashers are flashing, they flash at full brightness. They're very bright. So we must just have a problem with the 6.3 volts that is responsible for powering all of the lights. So when we get to working on this machine, we'll take a look at the voltages and see what needs to be done. The front of this machine is okay. Most of the paint is still there, but we do have a problem down here where some of the wood has come off. It's kind of hard to tell because of the black color, but obviously someone repainted this because the wood has come off, so at least they tried to make it look better. So that is nice that they tried. Both of the coin mechanisms are still installed, so those haven't been removed, and everything inside the coin door looks to be fine. I did receive several additional plastics and other parts with this machine, as you can see in the coin box there. I'll go over all of that in a little bit. I received all the documentation for each of these machines, so we will go over what I received after we take a look at this thing's cabinet. This side of the cabinet is in very good shape. You can see no serious wear there. Same goes for the back box. There's a little bit at the bottom, but that's basically it. There's a little bit up there too, but not bad. Here's the left side. Equally as nice condition as the right. And same for the back box on this side, a little bit of wear at the bottom there. But still in pretty nice condition. Oh, we have a sticker up here. I didn't notice this. City of Tacoma, that's a city that is very close to me. Amusement device expires June 30th, 1990. So we know that this machine was in a public location in around 1989 to 1990. So that would be when it was about 2 to 3 years old. So that's an interesting piece of history to know. So that is a brief look at each of these machines. So now let's go over what I received with each of them. So let's start with the Tee'd Off. I've gone ahead and shut off all the machines just so you didn't have to listen to Transformer hum. So let's go over what all I've received. On this machine, everything was stored in a priority mail mailing envelope. So I guess that's a good way to store everything and keep it all together. So what do we have here? We have 2 original instruction cards. Now, this machine has been upgraded to newer, more graphical style cards. These are not factory cards. I've seen a lot of machines where people will do this just to make the front apron look a little bit nicer, and they look good, so maybe I'll leave them in, but maybe I will put one of the original cards back in. This one might be a photocopy because if you take a look, you can see this one is a lot more black and white than this one. This one's obviously original, but I don't know about the one on the right. They're the same card because they have the same part number and they're on the same type of paper, so it feels like it's a factory card, but I'm not really sure. We have another original card that says see display for replay score level and hold the right flipper down to display the status report, and that is just so in case you're wondering like what the high scores are, what the replay values are while you're playing. If you hold the right button down, it will display all that information up on the screen. So that's what that does. And this I found inside the playfield. It says Gottlieb Amusement Games by Premier Technology. That was the brand name of Gottlieb in the late 80s and early 90s. We have another instruction card that is the exact same as the other 2. We have another replay card. This must be a photocopy because they're all the same. Yeah, someone made that, so obviously this is a photocopy of some kind. They did a pretty good job though. This is original. We have a coil chart for all of these solenoid coils and relay coils. So you can see what that looks like. On the other side we have some more information. Playboard fuses, coils, colors, and sleeves. So there's all that information. Here we have the Tee'd Off switch locations. So we have a graphical representation of the playfield, and it shows where all of the switches on it are located. And on the other side, we have the switch matrix diode board. So it tells you the identifiers for all of the diodes on this board, as well as the pin numbers for, it looks like, 2 integrated circuits on that board. Okay, here's the proof that we have that it's a photocopy. Someone made photocopies of all of the replay value cards that will go right here on the apron, so that's been done. And here's the original manual for the game, and this is nice to have because Gottlieb is a little more protective of their IPs, so you can't just download these manuals and schematics from the Internet Pinball database. You actually have to buy them from a distributor like Pinball Resource, and I've had to do that with one of my Gottlieb machines, so it is nice to have this with the game. And then here are those stickers I was talking about. That area up on the top of the playfield where it was super worn down, this is a sticker that you put over that to hide the wear and make it look nice again. And there's actually 2 of them. So I'll definitely be installing one of these to make that area look as good as it can get. So that's everything I received with Tee'd Off. Let's go ahead and move on to the Cactus Jacks. So with the Cactus Jacks, everything that I received was kept together in this bag, so that's nice. I don't think these black signs came with this game. You can see we have some price signs, and we have some stickers with numbers on them. The adhesive has come off of these stickers, so some of them are just falling off. I don't think these came with this game because there's not really a spot where these would go. There's no section on the apron, there's no spot on the coin door, so I think these came from a different game, but the rest of this did. We have a few replay cards for adding a ball. This is the one that I think was in it originally because, as you can see, this machine has also been upgraded to a more graphical style card here. The original instruction card is still in there, so that's nice, but this is the one I think was in there originally. We have some more here. We have a notice, save this bag, use when transporting control board. So maybe this machine has had a CPU board swap. I looked in this machine and it had all its original boards, so maybe it just had a replacement early on in its life, I don't know. But this is probably the bag that was used for that, so when you sent your board into Gottlieb's factory to get repaired, you get your new one back in a bag like this. We have the original warning about the playfield saying don't use any water, soap, or harsh abrasives to clean it. This shipment has been carefully inspected and properly packed before leaving factory, so that is still there. We have the original owner's manual, so that is also nice to have. I don't have to buy the manual or the schematic diagrams for this machine either. So that's nice, and that is all the documentation that came with this machine. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Big Guns documentation. So this machine, I actually received everything in the original Williams envelope, but it is heavily torn, so I'm going to have to be doing some taping. And some of this I don't think originally came with this game either, but most did. As you can see here, we have some replay value and extra ball templates here. We have quite a bit of them, so it's nice to have these. There's some loose ones here. And I've seen this before with Williams machines. I can't remember off the top of my head what this is, but it's almost like a little piece of mylar like you would put on the front of a slingshot. That's the shape that this is. I don't know if that's what this is, like to try to protect the slingshots. This playfield's already got mylar, so I don't really remember what this does. These cards here I don't think are original. These price cards here, I think these came from something else. I don't know what these would be from. Same with these. I can pretty much say these didn't come with this machine. Here we have a schematic diagram for one of the boards. It is original, but it's a very bad scan. It's almost unreadable. It says it is for the auxiliary power driver board. So that's what this is a diagram of. On this side, we have a power wiring diagram for the power supply, the auxiliary power driver, and some other related wiring for that. So that might come in handy when we're checking voltages on this machine. And we have a whole bunch of these. This is a Williams test game report. They're on a little piece of cardboard, and there's like probably around 10 of them. And then we have a postage label in the back side for when you were to mail this in to Williams. So we have quite a few of those. And what's interesting is we don't just have one game manual, we have two. So I don't know if this came from a place that had two Big Guns machines, but we have one here, which as far as I can tell is complete. It includes the schematic diagrams. And this is the same exact manual because it has the same part number, and it seems to be complete as well. It's got the schematics, so I don't know what I'm going to do with the second one. I did see this though. This sheet says the Big Guns instruction manual enclosed is a preliminary draft. We're also including a copy of the fire instruction manual to aid you because some of the schematics are identical. So this must be an early Big Guns machine. And then here's the very small manual, the Big Guns preliminary operations manual. So this doesn't have nearly as much stuff as the regular manual, but it does have information related to the solenoids, the audits, the game adjustments, and the lamp matrix. So it's got a few useful things. And so that is all the documentation I received with each of these machines. So I received everything that I need in order to do repairs on these machines should something break. So now I'll go ahead and open up the back boxes and the play fields, and we'll take a look inside and assess the condition of everything. So here's the inside of our back box. You can see we have all incandescent bulbs still, including the flashers. And this is that little assembly that has that plastic ball in it. So this coil will shoot that ball and it'll go down one of these lanes. And so what's cool is at the end of each game, it'll give you the chance to earn an extra ball using this little assembly here. So it will light this second shot and it'll flash the extra ball when lit. And so at the end of your game, if it rolls down the second lane, you get an automatic extra ball and you get to play one more ball in your game. So I thought that was kind of a cool feature. If I go ahead and power this machine back on, you can see how dim the bulbs are. If I go up close, you can see they're definitely not as bright as they should be. It's probably kind of hard to tell on camera, but they are definitely dimmer than they should be. So you can see the flashers there are very bright. So our voltage problem must only be with the general illumination bulbs, because looking at the bulbs that light up the playfield inserts, you can see those look brighter. So I think we just have a general illumination problem, so we'll have to see what is going on with that. So to get fully in the back box of this game, the first thing you have to do before opening the door is remove this bottom panel, and you can do that just by lifting it up and out. And then you can set it face down on the playfield like this. So that lets you have better access on the bottom, and then you can open up the back box door as normal. So here's the inside of the Williams Big Guns back box. You can see this piece of wood kind of indicates the size of the original back box, so this part of it here is how much they extended it. So this is a Williams System 11 machine, and it's a later revision, I believe 11B. So we have our MPU and driver combination board here. I believe this is the auxiliary power board. It contains all the fuses, diodes, and the bridge rectifiers right there. Up here we have our main power supply, and then right there we have the soundboard. And I see we also have a little board on the side that has a bunch of connectors on it that go from one place to another. Here is the rear of the backboard. You can see the backside of the ball launching assembly. And everything looks good back here. So this is in very nice shape. And as you can see, we have a remote battery holder on the main board. You can see right there, it's leaked a little bit, but nothing bad at all. So this battery holder was removed at the perfect time, and the new holder is right there. So when those batteries inevitably end up leaking, they will not leak onto the main board anymore. So that's nice that it's already been done. And so when diagnosing the lamp voltages, we'll have to take a look at several boards, because it could be a problem with the power supply not outputting enough voltage. It could be something on this auxiliary power board, and it could also be a fault on the driver section of this board. So we'll have to take a look and see what the issue actually is. But as far as this video goes, this is just a look over of each of these three machines. So there's the inside of the back box. It looks to be in very nice shape. So let's go ahead and take a look under the playfield. That foam could stand to be replaced. It's definitely starting to show its age and degrade. So here is the inside of the Williams Big Guns. Looks to be in very nice shape. The bottom of the cabinet is definitely a little bit dirty, so we'll have to get vacuumed out and cleaned up a little bit. The underside of the playfield on this game is very simplistic for a System 11 machine. You can see there's not really a ton going on down here. You have a couple little daughter boards, but that's about it. So very simplistic game. So if there are any faults down here, they can easily be fixed. I don't think there are any because I've been playtesting this game and it seems fine. So in our coin box down here, you can see we have several plastic pieces and we have this little bag. Now I looked in here and it had several bulbs, a flash lamp, and a bunch of fuses. And so what I think this is the original little bag that Williams gave you when you bought the machine brand new. They gave you some extra bulbs and fuses in case some burned out. So I think that's what this is. So cool that this is still here. I opened it up and they all looked to be in good shape, like they would still work. So that's nice. Now, from what I heard, the previous owner did a full plastic replacement on this game, but I took a look at the plastics that were already here, and most of them have absolutely nothing wrong with them, so I don't know why that was necessary. Like this one here, you can see it's just a little bit dirty. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this plastic, so I don't know why it needed a full replacement. Maybe he just bought a set to get one plastic. I'm not sure, but several plastics in here still are good. Like this one's fine. This one looks like a brand new plastic. It's got a little backing on it that's never been removed. So we'll have to see where that goes and see if the one that's in there now is in worse shape or not. I haven't really looked through these, but as far as I can tell, all of these seem just fine. No cracks, no paint loss, just dirty. Now this one's got a little bit of paint loss on the back, but it's nothing major. So it's good to have these because they're basically spares because they're all in really good shape. Now I did receive some bigger plastic pieces and I think this was the one that the previous owner wanted to replace because as you can see, some of the actual sticker part is coming off on the back side. So this one definitely needed to be replaced. As you can see, it's quite yellowed. So there's a new one on there that's in much better shape than that one. But these two look to be just fine. Just a little bit dirty. So those will be nice spares. Just before we do that though, I did notice I put the playfield all the way up. There is another board back behind the playfield right there. And I think that might be the auxiliary driver board. I can see some large resistors on it. So they might be using that to power some additional lights. So I might have to take a look at that in the future. I might not, but it's good to know that that board is there. So now let's go take a look at the Cactus Jacks. So taking the back glass off on the Cactus Jacks is a little bit different. The first thing you have to do is open up the speaker grill here at the top. So that will come out and it will go to right here and then it will stay like that. Then you can take out the back glass, but you have to watch these little parts of the wood cabinet when you take it out because it has to go under those. So you just pull up and you'll kind of do this with it so you can get past those wooden pieces, and there you go. And if I go ahead and turn this machine back on, you can see that the displays are actually blue. It's just the green tint on the back glass that makes them look green. So here's the inside of our back box on this game. You can see all of the incandescents are working, and I think all the flashers are working as well. There's some of the flashers. I don't think those three on the top right are supposed to go on and off right now, but you can see those ones are working fine. We have the original Gottlieb vacuum filmed displays, so these have not been upgraded or replaced. And to get behind the back box on this one, you have to undo these two wing nuts that secure the lock for the backboard. So we'll just go ahead and undo these to the point where they're loose enough. Then you can lift that up and open up the back box. And this is what the inside of the Gottlieb Cactus Jacks back box looks like. You can see not a ton of stuff going on back here, but we have all the boards necessary to make it work. These two boards are part of the power supply. This is the driver board. You can see all the driver transistors on it. This is the control board, the MPU board. Now what's nice is that this is a Gottlieb System 3 game, and on every System 3 CPU board, they have clock batteries instead of AA's or rechargeable batteries, so those will basically never leak. So that's a really good thing that they did. And I believe both of these boards up here are related to sound. I would imagine that this is the sound board and this is more of like a speech board. So I believe that is what those are for. Now, something that I thought was funny back here is some of the connections on these boards are actually connected by AV cables, like for video. So if I unplug this cable, I have the machine turned off. You can see it's just a standard RCA type AV cable plugged into a little socket right here. So I thought that was kind of interesting. There's a few of those back here. There's one of those connections over here too. So it's a very interesting connection. I can't say I've ever seen that in a pinball machine. But we do have all of the Gottlieb original boards. You can see they say Premier, which was the company that owned Gottlieb at the time. All of the boards have the Premier label on them. So none of these boards have ever been upgraded to newer boards, so it's nice to deal with original hardware. And as far as I can tell, everything looks good back here. I didn't see anything on the boards that looked like it needed attention. I didn't see any bulging capacitors. Like, for example, if these capacitors were to be bulged, I would want to replace them, but they look to be fine. So I'm going to leave them alone for now. Maybe I'll check them at some point just to see if they're good. But I don't think this game has had a lot of work in its back box. It looks very nice. So now let's go ahead and take a look at its playfield. Just before we do that though, I do want to show something that happened during one of my play tests. One of the drop targets broke clean off, and I think it broke into multiple pieces because I have one piece of it, but it's not the whole target. So I'll have to find the other piece. It must be somewhere down in the playfield. So those drop targets must be really brittle. And if one of them is like that, then they're probably all going to be like that. So I'm probably going to replace all of these drop targets to be on the safe side. And then that way I can put new stickers on them as well. So not a big deal, but it is something that is going to have to be resolved when I start working on this machine. So let's go ahead and take a look underneath this machine's playfield. Wow, that lockdown bar is going to need some serious attention. So here is what the inside of the Cactus Jacks playfield looks like. A lot more of a complex playfield. I have some various parts down here, one of them being a piece of the drop target that broke off. There's obviously another piece somewhere, but that is one of the pieces. And just looking around here, I do notice some other things that'll have to be addressed, like the plumb bob tilt. The actual plumb bob part is missing. We just have the rod, so that'll have to get replaced. The ball for the ball roll tilt is here. Down here we have the main power transformer, a couple big capacitors, the bridge rectifiers, and a series of connectors. There must be a board inside this little metal enclosure here. See, we have our service outlet right there. And it looks like this little sheet tells you all the fuses that you need for certain spots in the game. So that's nice that they just give you that. And someone will have to tell me what this is. There's a little bag in here with a couple connectors that looks like they go in a loop. It says A12J5 power input options, and it lists different voltages along with different wire colors. So someone more familiar with Gottlieb System 3s will have to tell me what that's for. What is going on down here? There's a board just sitting in the bottom of the playfield, and I would imagine that's supposed to be screwed on somewhere. So I'll have to pull the playfield open and see what that is and see where it goes, because obviously that's not right. The underside of the playfield looks pretty nice, and yes, these three relays are exactly the same relays that Gottlieb used back in their electromechanical machines. So they were in these machines until the very end because Gottlieb System 3 was the last system they ever made. So here's the underside of the playfield. Looks pretty nice. This playfield has a lot of part number markings on it, so it can be very easy to service. For example, the fuse numbers are printed right next to the fuses. I can see we have a little diagram behind this board here, and we have some more information there. So it seems that serviceability was a priority when Gottlieb designed these machines. They wanted to make it easy for the operator to fix. And I see right here we have a Cactus Jacks logo on the side of the playfield. Too bad it's worn down. Game number 729. That must be the model number. So that's interesting to see there. So this playfield, other than being a little dirty on the bottom of the cabinet, and the fact that we have that loose board down in the bottom, it all seems fine. So now that we've taken a look at this machine, let's go ahead and take a look in the back box and under the playfield of Tee'd Off. So you can see the back box in this game has been upgraded to all LEDs and all LED flashers. And you can tell this game's been turned on a while because these are burn marks. This is not dirt. And that would be from the original incandescent bulbs that were in here being on for a very long time. So this game's definitely been on for a while because we have the burn marks in the backboard and we have the slight burn-in on the dot matrix display. So this game's definitely been sitting turned on for long periods of time. So here's the back side of the dot matrix display assembly. And here is the inside of the Tee'd Off back box. This game is also a Gottlieb System 3, so many of the boards in here are identical to the ones in the Cactus Jacks. So for example, here's the driver board. It's the same board. There is the control board. We have our two boards for the power supply. This is the main little power supply board, and then up here we have our auxiliary power supply. These are the same boards that were in the Cactus Jacks. There's our sound board and our board that handles the speech. We do have an additional board in this game though. This is a dot matrix display control board, so it uses this board to control what is being displayed on the dot matrix display. And we have all of the original boards in this machine as well. You can see we still have the Premier stickers on each board. So none of these boards have been replaced. Actually, you know what? I think the control board in this machine has been replaced because if you take a look down here in the playfield, you can see this machine has serial number 112713. And if you look on the Premier stickers on the boards, we have the same serial number, 112713. And it's the same for both of the sound boards. For the auxiliary power supply board, that one doesn't have a label, and for this one. But the control board has a different serial number. So it's possible that the control board has been replaced in this machine at some point in its life. The dot matrix display has not. It does have the original serial number, so that is original to this machine. And the other addition that this game has is the motor. This controls the animated gopher up on the top, so that is responsible for moving the gopher around. And that motor is quite loud, so maybe I will take it apart and put some new oil inside its gearbox just to see if I can quiet it down, because when the game's running, that animated gopher is pretty loud when it moves. So I'll see if I can make that a little bit quieter. But everything, as far as I can tell, looks good in this back box. I don't see anything that needs to be addressed right away. So it looks pretty good back here. So now let's go ahead and take a look underneath the Tee'd Off's playfield. Before we do that though, I just noticed something. We have a replacement transistor on the driver board. So at some point in this game's life, one of the solenoids quit working and someone figured out that that transistor was bad. So you can see just by the look of the top metal part of the transistor that it's different. So we've had a transistor replacement, and obviously that was the problem because I went through the solenoid test in this game and every solenoid is working. So whoever repaired this in the past repaired it correctly. So now let's go ahead and look under the playfield. Foam on this one looks good. I can tell it's aged a little bit, but I could leave this alone and it would be just fine. So here is what the underneath of the Tee'd Off playfield looks like. Looks basically the same as all the other ones. It is a more complex playfield, very similar to Cactus Jacks. And one of the first things I saw when I was in here for the first time was this big power adapter. I was like, what is this for? Well, I looked to where it was going and it goes underneath the playfield. And when I had the game running, I unplugged it. And what that's for is someone put a red LED strip underneath here, and it goes across the entire top of the playfield. And I could actually power it on without the game running because there are two power adapters. There's one for your service outlet, which is actually this one here. This one has power to it at all times, but the adapter here only has power when the game is on. So if I swap this brick to this plug, you can see we have that LED strip turned on now. So someone tried to lighten up the backside of the playfield a little bit. I might leave that in, but I'm probably gonna end up just removing it because it doesn't really need to be in there. It's kind of making a mess. So we have our two power adapters there. And under here we have our three electromechanical style relays. This plastic cover is very dusty, so we'll have to clean that off. Same with this plastic cover. It is covering the power transformer section. It's very similar to the one in the Cactus Jacks. You can see our big capacitor. There's the transformer. And then this is the fuse chart, probably for just the ones under the playfield, maybe in the back box as well. I'll have to actually read it, but that is there on this machine as well. You can see we have all kinds of information on the bottom of this playfield as well, like the fuse values. Unfortunately, some of those have worn down, but I'm sure that's very easy information to find elsewhere. And one thing I did notice in this playfield is that wherever there's a switch, it says smart switch, do not adjust wide beam, see instruction manual. And the reason it says that is because these switches are different. They're not your typical pinball switch where it has like the little circular point where it makes contact. The end of the bottom blade is just bent up in a little round shape, so you can see how it's making contact there. Get a little better shot of that. You can see how it makes contact with that. And I think that was Gottlieb's way to make the switches more reliable than just your standard pinball switch. So this game has those kind of switches instead. And they seem to be reliable because I think they're all working. I didn't see any that were out of adjustment or not working when I looked under here the first time. So maybe they are more reliable, but this is the only game that I have where I've seen that. So people with more experience with System 3s will have to tell me if those switches are actually more reliable than regular ones or not. So aside from the bottom of the cabinet being dirty, that's a common theme with all three of these machines, it looks rather nice. And so that is what it looks like inside this machine. And so that is a quick look at the newest three machines in my collection. So after I finish doing my Gottlieb Jungle Queen, my Bally Strange Science, and my Bally Flip Flop, you will be seeing these machines on the channel. So my current plan is to finish up the Gottlieb Jungle Queen because part 2 of that restoration series is already out. And then I'm going to start working on my Bally Strange Science. You can see it there on the end there. It is turned on, so that kind of gives you a sneak peek as to what that machine looks like. And then I'll do my Bally Flip Flop, and by that time you'll probably end up seeing videos of each of these 3 machines on the channel. I don't know if I'm going to be doing a multi-part restoration series on these machines. I would like to. There's just not as many problems as there were on my previous machines, but I'll try to make interesting videos about them because I'm sure you'd like to see each of them. So I'll include some quick gameplay of each of these 3 machines. I'll probably end up just doing 1 ball on each of the machines, just so you can see how they play now. So if you want to see that, keep watching until the very end. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I will see you in my next video.
This is awesome to your day. Did anybody teach you how to play this game? Looks like you need some serious help. Look out for the apple! Did anybody teach you how to play this game? Shoot for the volcano! Hey, you got your eyes open or what? Chill out, guys. Look out! Look out! Hey, you got your eyes open or what? Look out for the apple! Looks like you need some serious help. Yeah!
A hole in one!
Hey, you got your eyes open or what? Did anybody teach you how to play this game? Did anybody teach you how to play this game?
Hole in one! Welcome to Cactus Jacks. It's party time.